our wedding day, while we were building a house in Alto at the time. And so Tim was determined to get the drywall finished that morning. And so drywall in the house the wedding day morning, and they were late for pictures, him and his groomsmen, because they were all working on the house. And he knew as soon as he walked into the church late, he could tell. I didn't even dare look at me. He knew I was getting my pictures taken, and he's like, "I know. I'm sorry." It's just people. He loved talking to people. Loves people, and just he would come home with stories all the time. And yeah, definitely, that was for him was the best thing about heating and cooling, going into people's homes and just meeting new people every day. Well, his work truck, you could see him a mile away because in his windshield he had stacks of paper and who knows what else stacked up halfway on the windshield. I don't know how he never got pulled over, or maybe he did, or how he even could see to drive, but I could see him a mile away. I'm like, oh, there's Tim. And cardboard. He'd write notes on cardboard or blocks of wood, and there it was just, yeah. I don't. He had a system. He said he knew where everything was, and
the most unorganized,
the most unorganized, organized person. That's a great way to put it. He worked hard, and when the kids were young, I mean, he would work, and then he would snowplow at night, and then he realized that was too much. He was missing a lot, so he stopped snowplowing. And even when he was working like day and night, he would come home and help me. He would eat dinner and help me get the kids bathed and ready to bed, and then a lot of times he'd go back to work. But then quite a few years ago, I think he decided, he's like, it's not worth it. I need to spend time with my family, and he definitely slowed down. He loved being a dad, and I think if we could have had 10 more kids, he would have gladly have done that. He loved babies. Loved babies, yeah. He just loved coming home and having them all just come to run to him, and he thought that was the best feeling ever. And just having those relationships with each one, and he would always tell me, I just love how each of our children are so different, and they are. And he loved how close they are. And the hardest thing for him, he's like, I'm not scared. He would always say, I'm not scared of going to heaven. I don't want to miss out. I just don't want to miss out. See, I didn't like Grandpa for a minute. Grandpa made me cry for a minute.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And then he won her over. He started giving her food every time he would hold on to her. And then he won her over that way. And then Grandpa wasn't so scary.
Grandpa would show up at my house all the time. I would hear a door open, and I would look out the window, and there was Grandpa making his rounds. He loved Miss Blake. He just kept talking about how she's going to be just like me and ride dirt bikes, and they're going to go jet skiing, and how Uncle Levi's going to take them to go do this, this, and this.
This is who he was. Wanted to spend time together all the time because he loved us dearly.
He would always take me for drives when I was little. I think that was the one way he could get me to sit down. I always loved going hunting, even though he said I was too loud. He always wanted to go dirt biking, and he was always really proud of me about that. It was easier to find him outside than it ever was to inside.
Oh yeah, he was before getting sick. He was never in the house. Never in the house. He was always outside doing something. For a long time. He loved to garden, and he tried to rope us into his big gardens. And when we didn't really take interest in the weeding, he would not fly either. But he loved growing these huge, massive gardens. And even though he didn't eat a vegetable in his life, we had to grow every vegetable there was. But he never ate them. And then he'd get mad when we wouldn't eat them. He loved being on the water, anything on the water. Didn't love fishing, didn't care because he couldn't sit still that long. But jet skiing, he loved jet skiing.
He'd always come over and splash us.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Then he'd laugh.
Tim always started the kids young on jet skis. I remember even Dustin and Levi, all the kids, when they were like even just like probably a year or two, we'd throw a life jacket on him and throw him on the jet ski in front of him and took off with him. And started off like when we moved out on the country, we had land, then we bought him a dirt bike, and I think Tim fell just in love with it as Dustin, and that was the start of a whole thing too. would travel. We'd travel everywhere, just riding dirt bikes, and we were crazy. Like people look at us like we were crazy when we pulled into a dirt bike race. We'd have all these kids, and at that time we had 4 dogs because that Tim would bring home every stray he could find. So we'd all load everything up into this motorhome. We'd get there and park, and out kids would run out, and all the 4 dogs would run out, and people would look at us like, you are crazy. So we moved in our house now. It was set up for cattle, and there were cattle there already. So he thought, well, we have the space. Why don't we raise a couple cows for beef? And I'm like, sure. And then, of course, like just being Tim, couple's not enough after a while. Then you just have to go big. I think the most we've had was probably 60. And I had to really convince him to get rid of some. But he loved his cows. He loved them. He loved the cat. When they have calves, that was his favorite time of year when calves were being born. Yeah, and there was always special ones that he loved. He had his special ones that we knew were not going to go anywhere, that were pets. We definitely, he got attached to them. And oh yeah, like the one that we brought in the house. That was, our COVID project. So it was very cold out, and his calf was born. The mom didn't care about it, and it was premature, but no, we were gonna save it. He brought it in the house. We set it up in the spare bedroom and a little kiddie pool, and that was our COVID project.
He cried.
He did.
He cried.
Yeah. He has such a tender heart for animals. Such a tender heart. Another thing about Tim is you never want to watch TV with him either, because he would just commentate the whole thing through, especially news, like they're idiots because of this, or why, even a movie that he would commentate through everything you watched on TV. We had our shows we'd watch, like Survivor was one of them. We'd always watch Survivor together.
The Goldbergs.
Yeah, like you love the Goldbergs. Yeah. So it was a certain time of night when we settled down at night, and he had his place on the couch, and I would always just like lay down next to him, and it was kind of like our nightly routine, and that's I'm gonna miss. Yeah. I'll never forget the doctor when he first got diagnosed. And he was just got done with surgery, and it was like 10 o'clock at night, and there's no one in the waiting room but me, and they're turning lights off, and the doctor comes in, and he's like, maybe we might be able to get 2 years out of him. And I'll never forget that moment. But you tell Tim he can't do something, he's going to prove you wrong. And he did. And every doctor's appointment we went to, after he hit the 2-year mark, every doctor's appointment, he would tell the doctor, gave me 2 years, I exceeded my expiration limit. He wanted to make expiration date. Yeah, he wanted to make sure everyone knew. And even when they last November, when it went to the brain, they're like, you have less than a year. He's like, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong. I didn't doubt it. But God had other plans. And I always told him, I'm like, all these years we've been married, I hated your stubbornness, but now that you have cancer, I'm like, I'm so glad you're this stubborn. Tim had, I would say, like a quiet faith.
Yeah, for sure.
He would share it in moments he thought it would be meaningful to other people, or just certain moments with him and I, especially with cancer. Then I think we talked about it a lot more. I think when his sister passed away, that was like one of the defining moments in his faith journey as well. And he really had to trust in God through that process, and it took him a minute to realize that God had a plan, even though he didn't know what the plan was, and he never will know. That was hard for him to work through, and I think that really strengthened his faith. And then getting cancer too, I think that the same with that. He would remark all the time how isn't it just crazy how God gives me these Christian nurses and doctors, and that him going into surgery, and he was so nervous and couldn't really calm down, and who do we see by his bedside? Alice and Roe. It just God things for that, like all the time we had that, and he knew that God was right there with him. How incredibly blessed we are.
My name is Jamie, and I am Tim's youngest daughter. I want to thank you all for being here to celebrate my dad and his legacy he leaves behind. And honestly, I still can't believe I'm standing here having to say goodbye to him. He was larger than life to me, the kind of man you assume will always be there because no one can imagine him ever being gone. The kind of dad you call for advice, for help, for reassurance, or sometimes just because hearing his voice made everything feel okay, and his jokes made the whole day better. My dad was truly the greatest man I've ever known. He was so strong, selfless, hardworking, stubborn at times. My mom may say he was very stubborn at times, but loving in a way that made everyone around him feel protected and beyond loved always. He wasn't perfect because no one can be, but to me, he was pretty close. He had his way of making people laugh no matter what was going on. Even during hard times, he could break the tension with one comment, one joke, and one look. And he did that constantly to make us feel okay, even when he was not okay. He was the kind of person who would tease you relentlessly just to make you smile 5 minutes later. And if he loved you, you knew it, even if sometimes his love sounded like sarcasm or him making fun of you. And one thing everyone knew about my dad is that if he said he was going to fix something, he absolutely would. Eventually. It was always on Tim Tam's time, usually after walking away from it 3 times, muttering under his breath, and getting distracted by TV and sitting on the couch for half an hour, he would get it done. But beyond the laughter, beyond all the little things that made him him, what made my dad extraordinary was his heart. He loved us beyond words can describe, and if you are here, you know that love I'm talking about. There was nothing he wouldn't do for the people that he loved. And the greatest love story I've ever witnessed was between my parents. I have never seen two people love each other the way that they did. The way my dad looked at my mom every single day, with such admiration, loyalty, and genuine love, is something people spend their whole lives searching for. Their love was safe, steady, and beautiful. It showed me what marriage is supposed to look like, what commitment looks like, what choosing someone every single day looks like. And then there was his fight with cancer. I know if he was here right now, he would not like me talking about it very much. If you knew my dad, you probably wouldn't even know how much he was carrying, because that's who he was. Tough beyond words, he fought cancer with a strength that honestly still amazes me. He didn't complain, he didn't want pity, he didn't let it define him. He kept showing up, he kept joking, kept loving people, kept being himself. So many people never even knew he was sick because he refused to let cancer take away who he was. That was my dad, courageous, stubborn, and unbelievably strong. He carried pain so quietly that the rest of us sometimes forgot just how hard he was fighting. And even near the end, he was still worrying about everyone else. That's who we lost. Not just my dad, not just a husband, a grandpa, and a friend. We lost a man who made life feel lighter for the people around him and made life colorful every time he laughed. One of the hardest things for me to accept is knowing there will be moments in my life where I will reach for him and he won't physically be there. I think about my wedding day all the time. I think about not seeing him there, not getting that hug, not hearing one of his jokes to calm my nerves, not watching him pretend he's not emotional while clearly crying somewhere in the corner, and mostly our father daughter dance. I will miss not being able to jam out in the car to old country music like Alabama and Tom Sawyer Band. Or better yet, old rock bands where he somehow knew every word and would sing the whole song before the chorus even happened. I will miss you poking me, saying, touch, 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 because if you know me, you know I am not a fan of physical affection. I will miss our time of saving every animal we could imaginable and bringing them to rehab centers all around Michigan, or better yet, having us rehabilitate them ourselves. And that breaks my heart, because he deserved to be there for all of it. But even though he won't be there physically, I know he'll still be with me, in the way I love people, in the lessons he taught me, in the strength he gave me, in every moment where I need courage and hear his voice in the back of my mind telling me, you've got this. I'll miss him in the big moments, but honestly, I think I'll miss him even more in the small ones. The random phone calls, the sound of his laugh, The way he walked in a room, the dumb jokes, the advice I didn't ask for but somehow needed, just knowing he was there. There's a quote that says grief is just love with nowhere to go. And if that's true, then my grief for my dad is enormous, because my love for him always will be. Dad, thank you for being my safe place. Thank you for loving us the way you did. Thank you for fighting so hard to stay with us. Thank you for showing me what strength, loyalty, and unconditional love looks like. I'm so proud to be your child, and I will never stop telling people of the amazing dad I have. And if love alone could have kept you here a little while longer, you would have lived a lifetime. I miss you so much. I love you, Dad, always and forever, until we get to see each other again.
Hi everyone, my name is Shelby and I am Tim's oldest daughter. Thank you all so much for being here today. It truly means the world to my family and I. Seeing so many people here is a reminder of just how deeply loved he really was. Over the last several days, we've heard so many stories, shared so many laughs, and shed so many tears than I can even count. And through all of it, one thing has become very clear. My dad made an impact on every single person lucky enough to know him. Whether you knew him for years or only a short time, you probably walked away with a story about him, a laugh because of him, or a memory you'll never forget. My dad has always been my best friend. He used to tell me that when I was a baby, I only wanted him. He would drive me around for hours in the middle of the night just to get me to fall asleep. Wherever my dad was, I was just a short couple steps behind. I was his sidekick through countless dirt bike races, running errands, or even hunting, even though I was not always the quietest. Some of my best memories are just the simple ones. Riding around with him, sitting in the garage while he worked on something, listening to music, or just listening to his stories. He always had a way of making even ordinary moments feel special. Looking back now, those are the moments that I treasure the most. He was always endlessly patient with us kids, whether he was teaching us how to ride dirt bikes or snowmobiles, showing us how to shoot, or helping us work through math problems at the table. My dad truly supported us through it all. He was always pushing us to be the best we could be, but never in a way that made us feel pressured. He believed in us even when we didn't believe in ourselves. My dad taught us so much without even realizing it. He taught us how important it is to show up for the people you love. He taught us to work hard, to stay strong, to laugh often, and to never take life too seriously. He showed us what unconditional love looks like through his actions every single day. He always knew how to keep us on our toes and make us laugh. As we've been sharing stories with family, that's become more and more evident. One of my favorite memories was at my wedding. If you knew my dad, you knew how much he truly hated wearing a suit. Well, he may have been forced into it for only the second or third time in his whole life. He did it without complaining, but little did I know he had a surprise up his sleeve for me. As I was looking for my dad to come to the dance floor for our first dance, I noticed a similar guy wearing cargo shorts, hey dude shoes, and a button-up shirt. Sure enough, there was my dad walking up there to me for our first dance. He always loved pulling off a good joke on us, and I'm surely so glad he did. Those pictures of him with that big smile are some of our favorites, and we'll cherish those forever. I'm gonna miss his contagious smile, his big, obnoxious hugs, and his constant emoji-filled texts. I'm gonna miss hearing his voice, laughing at his jokes, and being able to reach for the phone whenever I needed my dad. No matter how old I got, being his little girl was always one of the greatest comforts of my life. I love you forever, Dad. Love your little girl always.
Tim and I would have celebrated 28 years of marriage on December 5. I can honestly say there was never a dull moment being married to him. He was always working on something, buying something to fix up, though it didn't always get finished, or coming up with new ideas to make his already busy life even busier. He simply could not sit still. Tim was a hard worker, and providing for his family was incredibly important to him. But even more important to him was being a dad. Every day when he came home from work, the kids would run to greet him and follow him everywhere, eager to help out with whatever project he was working on at the time. He loved the outdoors and spending time in God's creation. He found so much joy in teaching the kids to hunt, taking us to the lake to jet ski, riding dirt bikes, or just finding a random adventure to go on. He was incredibly proud of his children and he loved them deeply. There are so many things I will miss about him. His stubbornness, maybe not quite so much. If you knew Tim, you know exactly what I mean. Once he made up his mind about something, there was very little anyone could do to change it. It definitely brought its challenges at times, but through all the ups and downs of life, we always knew we could depend on each other. Tim never wanted cancer to define him, and many people never even knew he was sick. Last year, he was so upset about losing his hair. I told him I thought he looked handsome bald. He said, "It's not so much about how it looks, now people will know I'm sick." He was so tough through it all. Even in his final weeks, he was still trying to work, feed cows, and make it to soccer games. I will miss seeing him in his work boots, stomping around by the barn. I will miss hearing his voice every time he came through the door saying, "Hey, baby love, how was your day?" Over the years, "I love you" turned into "love you more," and eventually it became simply more. Every time we left the house, that's what we said to each other, just more. Tim, I am so grateful for the years I had being your wife. You are not just my husband, you were my home. You were my heart, my safe place, my provider, and my best friend. I will miss you more than words can say. The light in our smiles will be forever dimmed, and the thought of never hearing your laugh seems unimaginable. I promise to keep you alive in our home, in our heart, and in our memories. Life will never be the same, and my heart will always carry the ache of losing you. My love, I will see you again in heaven. More